How's it going, y'all? Welcome back to another video. Today I finally have the turbo along with the manifold, adapter, blow off valve, boost gauge, and then some gaskets and some adapters. So yeah, finally the actual turbo process will begin. So the first step, I guess, I just want to fit the manifold on, see if it fits and everything. So I got to take this off, this box, take off this manifold. Is it still hot? Nope. And then yeah, just fit the new manifold on. So it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, I got the old exhaust off. Here, I'll show you the cast iron headers. These were a pain to take off because all the nuts were rusted. But boom, I got the new turbo manifold on. It's kind of dark. So this is like the, I guess, external wastegate thing. I'll just make a block off plate, and then the turbo goes in the bottom of this. Get down in there, as you can see. So yeah, turbo will go on that, but pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of a goofy looking log style manifold. It'd be nicer if it was like equal length headers, but for now it should be fine. All right, here's the turbo. Looks pretty good, except these have one issue. The wastegate hole is really tiny, which causes boost creep and over boosting, which I don't want. I don't want to blow that up. So what I'm gonna do is just port this hole, make this a little bit bigger, and then I'll also in here I'll kind of port just this to make kind of a straighter path to the hole. Okay, I just cut out the box. You may remember there was a box here, which the air filter sat on. Well, it's gone. That's because the intercooler piping will come through here, go something like that. You can see, boom, chunks of metal. All right, did a couple things off camera. Had to get some hardware to mount the turbo to the adapter because this manifold's a T3 and the turbo's a T25. So had to get this adapter. This was kind of a pain because you can see there's not much room. So I had to get some bolts, cut off the heads, turn them into studs, and then get some nuts on there. And then I'll probably put a nut on that too. But the gaskets are in here, so that's set. And then I also got the, let's see, I can't really see down in there. See that little piece right there? That is the oil pressure gauge, and that's an adapter, so I can get the oil feed line to the turbo, so it'll come out and then go like to the turbo. So it's not really fitting in here because the wastegate, internal wastegate, is hitting this belt. So I got to figure that out. Maybe I'll take this wastegate off, weld the little hole shut, and then use this as like a external wastegate, but we'll see. Okay, little update. I'm going to have to switch from this thermostat and hose setup. This is external, and it sits like right here. Well, that's in the way of the turbo. So I can switch to an internal thermostat, which will go up in here, and then I'll just do a long hose straight from here to there. I've ordered the intercooler, all the oil lines and adapters, various things. So far I've loosened the motor mounts because I need to lift the engine a couple inches so that I can take off the oil pan, drill the bung into it. So that's going pretty good. Got some other projects. Got this Nissan Pulsar over here. He just put the transmission back in because, what did you replace?
I forgot.
The flex plate.
Oh yeah.
The flex plate.
The flywheel.
Yeah. And he's putting the carburetor back on. Hopefully gonna start it. Got this Corvette over here. Pretty cool. What are you working on?
Why do you need me? What's this for?
YouTube.
I'm grinding down the face of this impact because Mac doesn't know how to make an impact.
And there you
the
go.
sockets keep chewing it.
Alright, there you go. Okay, I got the backside of the turbo, like flange, and then I have a clamp on it, so I'm just kind of test fitting stuff. So I'd have a 90 and I'd cut it somewhere kind of like that, and then it would go down in here and then connect to the rest of the exhaust. So I'm just kind of fitting that out right now. The lift is broken. I was trying to pull this lock. I'm like, it's not pulling. You can't really see it, but inside I sheared the bolt that this hooks onto that pulls it out. So now it's just locked forever. So the car's never coming off the lift. I'm just gonna leave it here and never drive it again. So goodbye car. Alright, so got the exhaust pretty much finished. It is kind of weird the way it has to come down and then back up. It's because of the steering rack's kind of weird. I might try to, I don't know, hammer this section up closer to the body. But turned out pretty decently. My welds were not half bad. So to get the oil pan off, because I have to drill for the bung, you need to lift the engine up a couple inches to get to the rest of the bolts and pull it past this. So what I did was I loosened the engine mounts a little bit, and then show you what I did up here. Then I just kind of sketchy, but I just put the cherry picker on that and lifted it up. So hopefully this will give me enough room to pull the engine pan. Okay, so right now I'm taking off the oil pan. So quick tip, these ones are really hard to get to. You have to take off the clutch cover plate, and then you can get to these rear ones. And then for whatever reason, mine is extremely hard. I could not get anything to pry it. So what I did was I got this really skinny flathead, pried it in here a little bit, and then I got a stubby, a little bit thicker, and then got it in there too. So I'm just gonna probably do the same on that side and pull the oil pan off. Okay, got the oil pan off. This really sucked because it's like baffle in here. Well, the oil pump and pickup was like in here, and you had to like maneuver it. So what I had to do was I lifted the engine a lot, more than I should have, to be honest. And then under the car, oh, if you can't really see it, but where is it? Transmission mount, I loosened it so it lowered the transmission, and that dropped the cross member enough to pull the oil pan out. So finally. Okay, right now I'm actually under the car. You can see oil pump and pickup and everything, and it looks pretty good. I mean, I don't really know what I should be looking for otherwise, but everything looks decent. So yeah, not half bad. Okay, now I have drilled the hole for where the oil return will go. That'll just go in there, and then I'm just gonna weld this, and I'm just wire wheeling this so I can weld to this. Yeah, should be good. Oh, forgot to mention, the spot where you want to do the oil return, you don't want it too far forward to where if you're going downhill or you're hard braking, oil can come back up, and you don't want it too far back to where if you're going uphill or hard accelerating, same thing, oil. You also want it high up, as high as possible typically, so that it's not sitting too low and oil can come back up. So for me, you also want it to be straight down from the turbo, basically. Straight down from the turbo for me is too far forward than what I'd like, so it's back a little bit, but it should still be fine. All right, did some work off camera, but I got the intercooler in. Basically what I did, it's not pretty, but I just drilled all the way through and then made like a little bracket to come up. Same on that side, and then same down here. And it's super stable. This thing's not gonna move. So that looks pretty decent. And then I had to cut here so that I can put an elbow on the intercooler and then the piping. And I had to remove the horns because the intercooler is pretty long. So I had to do that. I also got the oil pan back on and the bung drilled. That was kind of a pain. That actually sucked. And then I had to do an internal thermostat because with the turbo here, the thermostat doesn't fit. So I got an internal thermostat, installed that. And then I just got this like long hose. I took out the radiator to do this, but basically it'll just go straight from the water pump to the bottom of the radiator. And then I had to just plug this off. So I just tapped this and put a bolt in that. And then if I move over here, I trying to figure out my intake situation, and here's the like MAF or whatever it is. So I had to make an adapter on the back of this. So I'm basically just making a square plate, and then I will weld like a piece of exhaust piping on it or something, and then just bolt it back up to that side. So this is 2-inch. So I'm gonna do a 2-inch 90 over, and then another 2-inch 90 into the intercooler. Same thing, 2-inch 90 off the intercooler. It'll kind of come at an angle a little bit. And then another 2-inch 90. I think it'll be kind of offset, so I'll do like a 2-inch 45 just into the intake. And then from the turbo, this is 3 inches. So I'll do 3-inch to 2.75 90. It'll come up, and then I'll do a 2.75 90 over. It'll go under this, over to this side, right? And then here's my map, or my MAF. And I think I'll have it sitting something like this. And then I'll have a, because this is 2.75 right here, and then just a 2.75 coupler onto the end of this, and then just like a little, like those little mushroom filters. It's gonna be the first start of my turbo build. Everything should be good. Yeah, you can see kind of everything I did. Yeah, it was a pain. It kind of sucked, but we'll start it, so we'll see. Okay, take two. I forgot to put in the fuel pump relay.
Fuse.
So we're back. All right, try this again.
Oh.
It started. I'll give it a little gas. Okay, it is starting, so we'll mess around with it and figure some things out. So. Okay, a couple issues, been driving it a little bit. One, so I put a PCV valve here from the intake down to my catch can, and then down to the crankcase, so that I wouldn't be pressurizing my crankcase. Turns out the PCV valve was not boost rated, which I didn't realize. So I pressurized the crankcase. This popped up, sprayed oil everywhere. Oil pan also sprayed oil everywhere. So I got this one should be better. It's out of this Subaru XT, which is turboed, stock from the factory. So I installed this one. That should be fine. I also realized I was pressurizing my vacuum advance to the distributor. So for now, I just capped that. I need a check valve for that, but the line is like so small. I don't really know if I can find one, especially a boost rated one. But, oh, I also noticed this injector right here, this was just unplugged as I was driving it, which probably explains why it felt so horrible and slow. But do some more testing and see what I can figure out. Alright, been driving the car for a while. The videos don't really line up very well just because I've been getting it running and stuff, but it's been running for quite a few months. I've been driving it. So I guess I'll go over a little bit what I've done and some issues I'm having. So in the revving clip that I'll put before this, you'll see that it likes to die or it doesn't recover, especially like if I'm just clutching in at a stop. Oftentimes it'll just die or get close to dying. It's a combination of this blow-off valve isn't recirculating, and because it's vent atmosphere, but my MAF, right, so the air gets measured there, goes through, but then all this air gets dumped out, so it gets really rich and it wants to die. Combination with that, and I just can't tune it yet. No standalone ECU, so that's one issue. Another thing that I did, as you can see, this is kind of how I had to route the MAF. So I didn't have to extend the MAF wire at all, which was lucky, just all the way here. You can see, made just kind of like a little bracket here to hold on to it. I had to make an adapter on the flat part of the MAF, so I could put just a filter on it. And then just some couplers, some tubing, aluminum piping to the front of the turbo, right? And then I have off this into the intercooler, and then from the top of the intercooler all the way up to the throttle body. Here's my blow-off valve. I would recommend, if you're doing this setup with the stock MAF, do a diverter valve or like a recirculating back in, or else you're gonna have issues like I am. So also I have vacuum advance unplugged right now because it was just sending boost to it, which like is iffy. And also this is leaking oil onto the headers, but it's not that bad. I also don't have the cold start valve hooked up. I mean, you can see like from here it should go and then back into the intake. So right now it has troubles on cold starts. I usually hold the idle for a couple minutes just to help it warm up. But yeah, you should probably figure this out. I just capped it off because, you know, it'd be a boost leak. But yeah, so here's the whole turbo setup. I had to switch from a external thermostat to an internal thermostat, so it's actually in there now. And I just have this, I got this random tube or hose from AutoZone, and it just goes down to the lower radiator. And then for the turbo, it's just a cheap Chinese max speed and rods turbo, but it actually works really good for now. I just have some lines. This line basically goes here, it goes under the car, and then I don't know if I'll be able to show you, But basically down in there is the oil pressure sensor. I just have a T off of that where the oil feed from that line goes in. So that's how I feed oil to the turbo. I also have a catch can down here, as you can see right here. Initially, I accidentally sent boost straight to the crankcase and blew out the oil pan gasket. Had to fix that. So what I'd recommend doing for a catch can or PCV system, I capped this, and then what I did was, there's no boost being sent, no PCVs or anything, or check valves. Basically, it just goes from that little crank breather down to one of the ports on the catch can, and then the other port on the catch can will go pre-turbo. So there's no boost being sent to it. There's actually a little bit of vacuum, which helps that. But yeah, I even tried doing a check valve initially when there was being boost, but it just didn't really work. So I would recommend doing it pre-turbo. Have a boost reference fuel pressure regulator because it was leaning out under boost. It helps, but something I didn't know is that the show you guys the O2 sensor, which is kind of just down there, O2 sensor, if it sees abnormally rich conditions, which under boost that's what you want, it'll cut back the basically the duty cycle of the injectors, which will force it leaner. So even with that, it's still like iffy, kind of inconsistent. So I'd recommend, I don't know, figuring something else out. I've seen people do like a pressure switch where like at 1 psi of boost, it'll kind of just ignore that and just send boost straight to it. So probably gonna figure that out, or just do a standalone ECU at one point. And then you can see my intercooler right here. There used to be like AC stuff, but I had to remove that for room. It didn't work anyways, but I just have it mounted up there, and then I have one point down here, and I just have the two hoses coming off of it. Seems to work pretty well. I had to do, as you can see, same side inlet outlet because, well, throttle body points like that. I'm also doing a water-cooled turbo, so coolant goes to it. So what I have is from the water pump, you know, you have that metal one, or that metal hard line, but then I have a rubber line basically going to the turbo, and then on the back side of the turbo it comes out, you can see down here, and goes here, so that feeds the heater core. I had to wrap some of it in like heat deflecting tape, whatever, because it gets really hot right there, and it has burst open and sprayed everywhere. Same with this, so I recommend either routing it better or wrapping it with something heat resistant. Also, another issue I was having, so you can see, this is my oil return, right? Ignore the oil drips, that's something else. But this is my oil return. Well, initially, it was smoking really bad at idle. Like when it was driving, it was fine, but at idle, it was just constantly smoking. And also the turbo didn't really spool very well. You couldn't really hear it at all. It's because when I welded the return, instead of it being like, you know, steep in like this, it was honestly kind of like this. So oil was just getting stuck and pulled up in there and burning off, and it was causing a lot of backup in the turbo. So when you do this, make sure it's a steep descent into the pan. I did it above the baffle so oil doesn't come back up in it. I'd recommend that. So that's important. Also in the MAF, if you take this off, see this? Well, you can, if you just pry this a little bit, you can move this to richen and lean it out. I think I have this turned a couple teeth, counterclockwise to richen it up like this. So if you need to do that, you can mess around with that, but it honestly doesn't seem to do that much realistically. And then show you my gauges. I have just down here my boost gauge and then my AFR gauge. I have the boost gauge just basically just teed off from this vacuum line right here. It was for, basically this vacuum line goes to the blow-off valve and then goes to the boost gauge. I don't remember exactly what this was for, but it was fine to remove it, whatever it was. In terms of exhaust, I just have a, basically this manifold is a T3, the turbo is a T25. So I have a T3 to T25 adapter, and then on the back side of the turbo is just like a T25 flange. And then I basically just made custom exhaust, so downpipe just V-band clamp. And then I have my O2 welded and my AFR a little further down welded. You can see, and then I just have like a glass pack basically because it was super loud. It's still too loud. I'm gonna do a full exhaust eventually, but this is what I have for now. It works, kind of rattles. So right now I'm only doing like 5 pounds of boost max, which I want to do more eventually. I'll probably go up to 10. I've heard stock internals, it can handle like 12 to 15 safely, as long as you can figure out fueling, which I kind of am trying to. But 5 PSI, it feels really good. It's really quick. The turbo, I'd say it's too big. It takes a little bit to spool. Just kind of laggy because it's big. So I'd downsize. I'll probably link the turbo so you can see the specs. Maybe go down a little bit, especially only for having 5 PSI anyways. I'd also recommend doing some just supporting mods before, because before I did the turbo, I did a aluminum radiator, a just high volume fan, a high volume water pump. I did a new head gasket, just some new hoses for the radiator and stuff. I feel like I did more. Oh, I did new timing belt tensioner pulley, new timing belt, of course. So yeah, I just recommend doing a couple of those things to keep it safe under boost. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it runs great. Like I said, it does die sometimes if you clutch in fast, so I got to figure that out. But if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. I posted a lot of my questions and stuff on the Facebook groups, so you can probably find me in there too. But feel free to leave a comment or whatever. I'll also link my Instagram. You can text me on there too if you have any questions. So thank you.